This is Matt CR with a Home Theater Forum hardware review. Today we're looking at the Boxee box by D-Link. This is a standalone Intel Atom-powered hardware box running the Boxee software, which has been available for some time. This is one of their first attempts at major media streaming device. Boxee is really well known for allowing you to view almost any file, codec, or type out to your device, and by putting it in a small box, they're hoping to gain a market for it. One of the things that I commented about in my review is that the Boxee is sometimes slow to get around to do things, and I really wanted to start this video review off by looking at a screen and showing you how it comes up. As you can tell, it's been over a minute, or right at a minute, and that's how long it normally takes the Boxee before she gets going and can show you the main screen. In fact, by the time we get there, I think we'll be a fair bit over a minute from the time I turned it on to the time that it comes up. It's not really uncommon, it's just one of the way that it works. When Boxee first comes up, this is your startup screen using the newest software. One of the options built in is the Friends. This is something that they're trying to promote. I have not connected mine to my Facebook or Twitter accounts, and so mine just shows me them as a friend and promotes me with images. But Boxee now allows you to share video and content between your friends on social network, make recommendations of different streaming media type. I don't know, that's not a function I really found super useful. And so one of the things I wanted to really get into is how it connected to the network streaming side, how it looks at your open network shares. So I connected it to a mini home server. This is not my main home server. I had tried that, but it simply took it too long to get around menus. I wanted to give it enough where you could get an idea of how busy Boxee gets and how long it takes it to bring up content, but not so much that this entire hardware review would just be watching the spinning wheel. One of the things about the Boxee is that when it does scan a network source, it does find the metadata for the shows or the TV in question and fills it out to the side. Here we're looking at Angel, and it shows us the data on the shows in the right hand side, information on it so that I can quickly decide what to watch and not watch. But this also shows me one of the problems with Boxee. When you choose a season from your season tile menu, the only way to really view it is by looking at the newest season first, and then it leaps downward. So let's say with Angel we started at the top of season 5, and so it shows me the last episode. If I want to watch something in season 1, I have to scroll down through 5 episodes. Now with a show that's only 5 seasons, that's not that bad, but if it's something like a Law and Order or a Top Gear, you may be sorting for quite some time, and since it doesn't provide a season by season view, that makes it a little bit trickier. It also means every time you come back to the show or program that you're watching, even though it remembers it, it doesn't automatically select the next topic. So let's get out of that and let's look at how we get around applications. So I left out of that. The main thing that they're trying to push is these applications. This is using the newest version of the Boxee software. And so here I have access to some of the applications that weren't available previously. That being most notably Netflix and Vudu. Both of these allow for their high definition format content, so you're able to watch the same content that you would watch on a PS3. And here we're going to choose YouTube. The reason why I wanted to choose YouTube is because I wanted to show one of the things I consider a glaring flaw with Boxee, and that is that Boxee hasn't yet really addressed how it handles the advertisements of the web, and that's the one thing you really want to try and avoid with something that is a media streamer, and Boxee really struggles with that. And part of the reason why it struggles with that is that the remote is simply not a mouse, and I know that sounds silly, but it means that there's not a way to click or get rid of some of the advertisements or to move where they come up. Now, prior I had searched through the top YouTube videos using the YouTube Lean Back software, and I wanted to choose one that I knew would have an ad. So when I picked one of the ones within the top 25, It comes up in the Vivo interface, and as you can see right at the bottom of the screen is the Vivo ad. If I look for other videos, the Vivo ad moves right to the middle of the screen. In fact, sometimes that ad will move to the top right or top left of the screen, dependent on who promoted that YouTube video. That can be really annoying, and it's one of those kind of things that I'd really hoped in a media streamer like this there'd be a way to get around, and there just really isn't. You do have other applications, some of them good, some of them not, and that's really going to depend on you. But I wanted to get next to what these devices really promote, and that is that they're a universal streaming device that will handle almost any media format that you throw at it. So here I'm going to take a pure copy of 28 Days Later in MKV format. I want to do this so that it's at full bit rate over a 10100 network. That's the network card that's within this. And as you'll see, my receiver will pop up here in a second. It's going to tell me that Boxee is in fact submitting the right audio. It is in this case submitting DTS HD master audio. That tells me that it's outputting correctly. Now, although this video has been switched to a different frame rate for the necessary nature of YouTube, I have found that it is a little bit jumpy. It's not exactly perfect over 10100. It is close to perfect over a USB network. If you're using a recompressed file, of course that doesn't happen. And I found that it tends to do a little bit better with DDHD or True HD than it does with DTSMA. So here we've leaped into the menus, and the menu system, outside of being somewhat difficult to get at, it's not really that intuitive, can be very confusing because some of the things are represented multiple times. Here within the main menu, I'm seeing options for display, sounds, and advanced, but none of those really have anything to do with how it outputs the file. Here all it's talking about is navigation or to show hidden files and directories. And so once you've looked around here, you may say, what am I really looking at? This doesn't really tell me anything about my display or setting up rules. And that's one of the confusing things about Boxee is even after you go through the general area, you can go and within the media section of their menus find almost the exact same options with the exact same amount of nothing under them. And this makes it very difficult for the end user to quickly find what they're after. Here in my third try at this, and I have explored this before so I know where they're at, but it's under System where I can actually control that my receiver can handle Dolby Digital, DTS, True HD, DTS HD, and LPCM. Now, one of the nice things about Boxee is that it does handle all of those multiple formats. In fact, I have had no trouble with MKV with LPCM or FLAC. It does handle FLAC audio well. It handles DTS-MA fairly well. Of course, the bigger the file size, the little bit rougher that it gets. It does manage to connect to my network shares and does a very good job of it. So there's a lot to promote about the Boxee. Lots of things that it really does well that something like Apple TV doesn't. But in the end, I came back to one problem that I just couldn't escape, and that is that the remote is really not a mouse, and when it fails, it really fails. And that gets back to with the ads that we had discussed before. When I choose one of their even promoted videos off their header, and it leaps me out to YouTube, which is fine, because the remote, which is somewhat difficult to use to begin with, and here we'll see it just pull up a YouTube window and then pop it full screen, which is what the Boxee does. Because the remote doesn't give me a way to really easily click on things, and trust me, I've tried, there is a way around this, but it's not very intuitive. It makes it somewhat difficult to close down things that you don't want to see. Skip this video? For many users, they'll find it fairly difficult. And when you're staring at a screen for 6 minutes and 7 seconds for a Hulu ad, you might decide to pass. This is Matt CR with a Home Theater Forum Hardware Review.